Hello everyone, welcome to your Whiteboard Wednesday quantum teaching on masculine and feminine energies. Now, if you're catching this video, present time as it's uploaded, you may notice that it's being uploaded on a Thursday rather than on a Wednesday because I've had the flu, and you can probably tell by the sound of my voice, pretty congested. None of the over-the-counter medication is working. Except steam, which is like periodic. So I was completely bedridden the last 2 days, was not able to get myself to teach. And for these videos, by the way, the quantum teachings, I don't batch create them in advance. I might start to do that in the future, just depending on my guidance. But for the other content that's created on Door to Value and School of the Ascending, it's created in advance. For the quantum teachings, they're taught on the spot. They're either recorded the day before they're posted or the day of, because it's channeled, and I want it to be channeled as authentically as possible. And I really don't try to connect my channelings, any of those downloads, with the sort of social standards of society in this earthly life. It's really up to spirit. It's really up to when I'm being guided to sit down and record. And so sometimes it's hard to force that when we kind of create a time limit on something like Whiteboard Wednesdays. It's something needing to be posted every Wednesday. It creates this sort of expectation. But of course, I was guided to start to do these teachings, and that idea came through as a channeling, but I've been sick. So I was given several topics to talk about, and this was actually the main topic that I was brought forward to teach for this week. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But essentially, it's very interesting. Masculine and feminine energy, I'll start the ground zero here. We carry both energies within us. And some of you guys might already be aware of this, right? We have both the male and female hormones already in each and every one of our bodies. Every human being has estrogen and testosterone. We have the right and left brain, where the masculine energy is always associated with logic, that side of the brain, thinking, right? And the feminine energy is always associated with receptivity, emotions, feelings. And neither or is good or bad, by the way, but the feminine energy happens to deal with the other side of the brain. And so the right and left brain, estrogen and testosterone, we carry both sides. So around 2018, I was shown a vision of how we are all created in pairs. And I was reminded of how I was actually taught that at a very young age when I was in Islamic school. And I've gone with my friends to their Bible studies. I've gone with friends to their Jewish schools, like their teachings. And so this is a universal topic, and not only among the monotheistic religions, but also among the polytheistic faiths. And so what we see here is actually this overlap between energy and creation, and that kind of dichotomy of two peas in a pod that comes together to create the whole, right? Two splits that come together to create the whole, two halves that come together to create the whole. And so I was shown that we are created as in pairs, and that the way that it works is that our soul, every single soul has upon their creation a pair, so their twin soul. However, as we go down the series of evolution, as we continue to incarnate, as we continue to, come upon different lives, and we take upon different soul agreements and soul contracts, soul experiences, soul lessons, we tend to come across other people across the mix and other pieces of the pie, if you will, that have also been created to live this journey and learn in this school of Earth and planets, if you will, like us. And so it begins to become more complex. And the interesting thing is that labels of masculine and feminine energy is very much attributed to earthly life, when we associate gender. And it makes sense. It makes sense for the 3D world that we're in. But when we look at the outside looking in, for example, me as a channeler, with archangels, they don't carry gender. They may present themselves in a specific way. Some may present themselves more masculine, others more feminine, some more androgynous, but then they don't really carry a gender. It's non-existent. It's not something that's relevant. Some of you guys may resonate with that, some of you might not. So again, just take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But essentially, the way that I was shown here was that we have masculine and feminine energy within us, obviously. And so the energies are what helps us balance between the way that we take action in our lives and the way that we kind of lean back and be open to receiving, to be open to information, to knowledge, to wisdom. So both have to go hand in hand when they're balanced, when a soul is healed, to be able to evolve. And so the way that I was shown was like these two orbs, where one was red and the other was blue, right? And which is interesting because now I'm being told about the imagery of politics, how, and nothing is a coincidence, by the way. Politics, in America, I should say, I don't know about the rest of the world, but in America, Republicans and Democrats, they carry the two colors, red, one is more blue, right? Conservative and liberal. But it's fascinating because that was the imagery of the color that came through. And actually, I want you guys to pay attention to what color is formed from red and blue, right? Red and blue, when it's mixed together, forms purple, the violet flame. And so purple, otherwise known as violet, the color violet, is a very powerful frequency in creation. And so I want you guys to be aware of that. So, nothing is a coincidence, right? So where one orb of energy, of light, it's almost like a combustion is what I'm hearing, of red, of feminine energy, the other of blue, masculine energy, comes together, and it sort of creates this combustion of energy that intertwines and creates, I'm seeing the imagery right now of the infinity. So it's like eternal life, right? I'm being shown the infinity heavy right now. The eternal life, the imagery of eternal life. And so this is essentially what's happening with creation. With creation, we're seeing both energies come together to make the one. Masculine and feminine energy, the idea of it is very much quantum because it's coming from a higher state of creation, okay? And so it's something that we can't quite make logical in terms of the point of its creation, other than the understanding that these energies come together to create. So the one, when it's otherwise split, it's almost creating. Now, this is not division, but when it's split to create the soul fractals, is essentially creating the rest of creation through the many plethoras of creation, right? Soul, if you will, life, if you will. And so we see it not only through human life, but also through extraterrestrial life. Now, I want you guys to understand something really quickly about this, is that the genders, the masculine and feminine gender, male and female gender, is something that's very much prominent within human life. And although it does exist to some extent with extraterrestrials, it's a little bit different. Because extraterrestrials are more advanced in their consciousness, in their evolution of creation, they do not need to live in this experience of having a fully sort of a gender identification of those energies. So gender and energies are very much different, and I want to just emphasize that. And so that's why in the world today we're seeing a sort of rise of all these different genders, which is very triggering to a lot of people. And I understand that because we have been so accustomed to the masculine and feminine energy, but masculine and feminine energy still exists regardless of what pronouns or genders people are associating with in the 3D world in earthly life. The thing is the energies are separate from the gender, right? The energies are something that will always remain. Masculine and feminine energies are something that will always remain. It's the two halves of energies that make up creation. And so I want you guys to understand the sort of limitations that come with the way that people try to explain this topic, is as if energies and gender are one and the same. But, every person, no matter what gender they are, if they don't want to say that they're male or female and they want to claim some other gender, whatever that gender is, and they just don't want to claim a gender at all, I don't know if they say, oh, I don't want to, I'm just hearing an example. Yes, thank you, Archangel Michael, like non-binary, right? So I don't even know what that means, but there's some people that claim that gender, and you can claim whatever you want to claim, okay? This is your life, and I'm not going to sit here and judge, but no matter what gender you are, you still have both of those polarities within you. You were still born with a specific gender, one of the two, and B, you carry still masculine and feminine energy. It's like a battery is what I just heard. Yes, thank you, Archangel Michael. So it's like a battery, like when you're putting two batteries together in a remote, for example, you need to make sure that both sides are fitting, right? The positive, like a magnet as well. Yes, thank you. Positive and minus have to come together, right? So that's exactly what masculine and feminine energies are. It's just two opposite sides of the magnets that have to be opposite to come together. And so this is essentially what these energies are. And in this earthly life, you know, and part of the guidance of this quantum teaching, 144 in the clock, as I saw, is that we are guided to actually understand both of our polarities. And a lot of people who are spiritually awakening at this time and ascending at this time are coming to terms with this awareness that you might identify as a male, for example, and have grown up a particular way where you notice that you have more prominence in your feminine energy than your masculine energy. And it's not to sit here and judge yourself and shame yourself and say that it's bad. It's to be aware of what you have to work on. So in understanding this basic level of masculine and feminine energy and the fact that it is a part of creation, it's organic into our bodies. It's organic and present in the ways of life. Red light, green light, right and left, up and down. The opposites that must come together like a magnet, like a battery, the plus and minus of a battery, to basically emphasize the way that creation, that things can stick together, that things can come together as the one, right? And so it's like a piece of tape, the sticky side of tape, and a surface, right? Something has to give to come together. You know, and I'm being shown so many examples right now. The imagery of a plug, the end of a plug, right? So, you know, a plug has a specific way that it looks, and for it to go into the socket, the electrical socket, the socket has to have an opening. So it's like that masculine and feminine energy, right? Male to female. And it's just the emphasis of the way that energy works, the way that this magnetism of energy flows in creation, is that the opposite will always be existent. The other side of the coin will always be there. My ear is ringing right now, and I looked up and I saw 333. So these videos are broken up, but I just want to emphasize to you all, you know, the importance of this awareness that, you know, quantumly, when we're talking in the quantum, it's all the one. But creation started with this almost pair. You know, I'm not going to say dichotomy, but this pair of creation, of embryos between masculine and feminine, that then of energy that then were transferred into the fractals of creation, the many souls. And as we continue to incarnate, we sort of cross over between different genders and different lessons of how we need to evolve within masculine and feminine energy within ourselves. How is these energies in my life playing a role with the way that I behave, the way that I receive, and the way that I take action, right? The way that I love, the way that I talk, the way that I learn. Like, understanding that is a very, very important in this journey to healing and really moving through your shadow work, because it allows you to identify what is still missing in your journey. Do you still need to go through inner child healing? Was there a missing parent in your life? Was there abandonment? What energy is lacking, or what energy needs more healing? So I encourage you all to go do your independent research if you feel guided to learn more about this and understand the power of masculine and feminine energy. This is very much at the start of creation. And of course, we know that much of creation does not carry gender, and those two are separate. But masculine and feminine energy is present in every single person. And every single person, regardless of how they identify and what gender they are, because we're going to start seeing a lot more people, identify with these different labels, and the labels are not even important, but it's the understanding that regardless of how people identify, we need to remind ourselves that we're still all carry both energies within us, masculine and feminine thinking and feeling. And so this is something that will be very beneficial to understand on the healing journey, regardless of how you identify, because if you don't understand it, you will be lost. And you're going to be stuck in a generation, raising generations that are going to be confused in who they are. And so the point is to not confuse who we are by the gender. The point is to understand who we are by healing our inner masculine and feminine energy, understanding what was missing in our childhood, if something was missing, if we endured wounding or trauma, and how that has affected us as adults. You know, how do we need to show up in life? and what energy is here to help us support that. Please let me know if you'd like a part 2 on this, what questions you have. Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, go and grow.